Everyone knows somebody who should watch Kitchen Independence with David Doc Robertson, Saturday mornings at 10:30 on KPSE My TV. I love going south of the border, so let's head down there once again. I don't get to go south of the border as much as I used to, but I sure do love the food. And I'm going to show you what I do when I get some tortillas and fresh produce right after a shopping trip. Right here in this plate, you can see I have tortillas, avocado, bell pepper, onion, and tomato. Now, I have to warn you that this dish is going to be time consuming, and we'll probably have to edit some of the preparation in order to fit within the time slot of the show. But I guarantee it's going to be worth it. Now, in addition to the tortillas and fresh produce, I'm going to be working with ground beef today. That's as opposed to carne asada or steak. Now, I have done this with ribeye before, and it comes out really nice. But today we're working with ground beef. And before I do that, before I get around to the meat, I have some dicing to do. Because I'm going to make some homemade Pico de Gallo. Now I know you can buy some in a plastic box at the store, but to me it's more authentic if you make it at home. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start with an onion. And for the first time on the show, I'm going to try to do the dicing on a chopping block, a plastic chopping block, rather than in my frying pan. So I'm going to start with the onion. Okay. Just get that right here. Now, I like to use a sweet onion as opposed to red or white. Sweet onions just have a lot more flavor to me. Let's see if I can get this started. Okay. Good. Move that back over here. Coming out quite nicely. Okay, now I have that done, and you know the onions burn your eyes because of chemicals that come through your nasal passages, or even if you breathe through your mouth, it's because of a chemical in the onion itself. All right? So if you could stop breathing, then you wouldn't have the burning in your eyes. Okay? All right. So I'm going to put this in here. There we go. And now, just a little bit more. Now it's time for the bell pepper. Now you would think that a bell pepper would dominate the flavor, but actually if you don't put too much, it works right along with everything else in the Pico de Gallo, just like a team. And they win like a team, and if you leave something out, then it loses like a team. Okay? This one is nice and fresh. You know how I can tell? because the juice is popping up in my eyes. So I'm going to put this in with the onion. And you know, it's all right if you get a few seeds in it. It actually adds to the flavor. There we go. And now for the tomato. There we go. Okay, got it started. Now, it makes it easier if you have a firm tomato. So when I go shopping, I make sure that I get the firmest tomatoes in the store. I also do the same when I'm picking tomatoes from the garden. Actually, when I'm picking from the garden, I make sure that I pick the tomato just as it's starting to turn red. That way it's at its most nutritious point, okay? And that also makes it easier to work with. Okay, so I have the tomato done. Now, just going to add that in here. There we go. So now I have everything in here, the onion, the bell pepper, and the tomato. And now I'm going to add a little bit of lime juice. Just, there we go. Not too much. And because I like to have it spicy, I'm going to add a little hot sauce. There we go. Give that a little shake. A few drops. There. And now we mix it all together. We're going to move on to the next step during our break. So stick around and we'll be right back.
They knew they were acting on an impulse, but what is life without adventure? Though how would they measure success? 1 year or 2? Or maybe they would look at one another 60 years from that moment and tell each other that they did it. That's what they wanted and pledged in their hearts to work for it every day. Read about these two and their passionate dedication in David Doc Robertson's Body and Soul. Get yours today in paperback or the ebook format on Amazon.com. That's Body and Soul. Get yours today.
Okay, I started to slice the avocado during the break. I did that because I'm not going to mix it with the Pico de Gallo. I might have extra Pico de Gallo and I can store it, but I don't want to store the avocado. Now I know that there are, if you go online, you'll see a lot of suggestions on how to store avocado. I'm going to add some salt to this just to perk it up a little bit. Now, to store the avocado, oops. But why store it when you can just eat it? One thing, I bet you did not know that avocados actually have more potassium than bananas. They're also filled with fiber and they lower your cholesterol. Avocados, they're loaded also with antioxidants that can protect your eyesight too. So basically, people who eat I'm gonna, yeah, nice. I think I'm gonna cheat. Again, oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so I have these done, and now for the ground beef. I have it right here in this pan. I'm going to add some seasonings. Let me put it up here on the table. As you can see, for the first time, I'm using a non-stick pan. The reason being is that it's small enough, it's not too heavy, and I won't be moving it around a lot. So a little bit of salt. Put that right there. A little bit of pepper. Okay. Some seasoning salt. Let me pick that up right. Okay. And the last thing is chili powder. I think this is enough to get a good Mexican flavor. Not too much, because just like everything else, it's not coming out. There we go. Let's see. There. There we go. It was being a little temperamental. So now, I'm going to mix this in. Once again, I'm only using about 1/3 of a pound of beef because I'm only cooking for one person. That's me. Alrighty. And I'm going to set this right over here. And one thing I forgot to do is turn on the burner where the tortillas are going to go. Okay, because I want to get that oil nice and hot. I'm going to turn that on top speed. There we go. And that's going to melt the... I'm cooking the tortillas in vegetable oil. Okay. And as you can see, I'm using my old handy dandy frying pan. Now let's see. I told you this is not too heavy. Good. I'm not going to start that because I don't want it to overcook. I'm going to cook all of the tortillas first. So now I have the oil going and it's getting nice and hot, but I'm not going to cook the tortillas on that high of a fire. I'm going to lower that down to a medium high fire, and depending upon the size of your pan, you can cook 1 or 2 tortillas at a time. So I have that going. Oh, it doesn't want to get in there. Okay, so I'm not going to burn myself. I'm going to use my fork. There we go. And it's in there. I like to let it get a little brown. That means 2 things. It's crunchy and it's not going to bend. It's not going to bend when I put the toppings on. Because nobody likes a floppy tostada and all the food falling on. Okay? So this one's coming out nicely. It's still a little soft in the middle. Perfect. So now that it's over, I add a little bit of salt, just for flavoring. Let's see if it's ready to come out. So you can see that this is nice and crisp and it's not going anywhere. Okay, except for on the table. Also, what I'm going to do is, while it's nice and sizzling hot, I'm going to add some cheese to it. Almost fell over. Okay, I'm going to add cheese so that it will melt right there and stick to the tortilla. There. Now, I'm going to try to do all of the tortillas during our next break, so stick around and we'll be right back.
Get the story behind the wheelchair. Experience the trauma of shattered dreams and a poetic boxing match that ended faster than a flash of lightning. I Tried to Box with God, a memoir of David Doc Robertson. Get yours today on Amazon.com.
Okay, so during the break, I completed all of the tortillas, and I turned on the ground beef, and that's about done too. But while that's finishing up, I'm going to show you, I have an extra tortilla. I'm going to show you how to turn a tortilla into a snack. All right? So, let me turn this fire up a little bit. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to you vets. Thank you for watching, especially you disabled vets who have to put in extra work at getting back. All right? So now, I have this tortilla in here. I'm going to finish this off real quick while the ground beef. Now what I do is I get it just as crispy as the other ones. And I add a mixture of brown sugar, cinnamon, and nutmeg right to the top. Now you can put this on as light or as heavy as you want. It's your choice. Okay? I like to put it on heavy, of course. No sense in fooling around with dessert. All right. I'm going to set that right there. Move the plate out of the way. Hand it off over here, off camera. Okay. And the tortilla. Let's see. Is that ready? Let's take a look. Just let the oil fall off of there. On this one, of course, I did not add any salt. All right, there, how does that look? Nice. I'm gonna see if I can carry this ground beef all the way to the table. Just put a little bit on top of this tortilla. Okay, there we go. I think it can stand a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to come with it this time. There. Make sure I get it all on there. Move this all around. Okay, so now I'm going to add the other toppings. As you can see, I added cilantro already. Okay. I'm eagerly anticipating. Here we go. avocado slices. Put those evenly over there. And then some cilantro. Oh yeah, it's spreading out quite nicely. Now I know tostadas can get messy, but that's the fun part. Picking up the pieces that drop and then eating them by themselves. Okay, now, as a quadriplegic, you can only guess what happens to me if this tortilla is floppy and it falls all over the place. So that's why I need it really crisp. And it's gonna come out crunchy. Now let's give this a try. I'm gonna take my time and get this up. Let's move this out of the way. Alrighty. Here we go. Drum roll. No drum roll. Okay. The first bite. Oh wow. That's really good. And you know what? It didn't matter that the avocado fell off. I can just put that right back on. There we go. Now, I'm gonna try out the little dessert tortilla. See how that comes out. Wow. I'm 2 for 2. That's really good. Okay. You can bet I'm going to eat really well as soon as we sign off. I want to thank you guys for sharing 30 minutes of your time with us, and I invite you to come back again. Until next time, I'm still David Doc Robertson. Thank you for watching Kitchen Independence.